And good morning and welcome to Hot Seat. Glad to have the CEO and President of Oklahoma State Chamber, Chad Warmington. Good to see you again, my friend.
Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
You got this thing starting on Monday. And, you know, in the old days, it used to be January. And you were in those first administrations Republicans took over about 20 years ago, right?
Yeah,
it's been that long ago. Things have changed a lot. Okay, now you're at the state chamber, and a lot of the issues you're talking about weren't being talked about 20 years ago. So let's talk about your agenda for 2024. It's pretty ambitious.
It is, and I think it's the maturation of the Republican majority, and frankly the state, that we're talking about workforce, we're talking about economic development, structurally, how do we do it, and then always talking about taxes, but we're really now talking about taxes in terms of reform, not necessarily huge cuts that are going to move the needle. Republicans have done that in the past, so I think it's a really mature agenda.
Okay, so let's talk. If you're talking workforce, you have to talk education, right?
You do.
So it's probably been a year since we've been talking about it. You may have appeared here on Hot Seat, is where I first heard this from you, which was we're going to have to really change the way the needle is pointing to change the way things are happening, such as we've seen a lot of big companies, and we're in the finals to get some big companies here. We didn't get it. But we have big workforce numbers, but the skills levels, I think we're hearing that they're not up to par.
Right.
Let's start at 10,000 foot level. What do we need to be doing in Oklahoma for businesses, for educators, to get us over that hump?
Well, I think, it's nice that we're recruiting big companies, but the reality is, Scott, we have 30,000 to 40,000 jobs available right now that we can't fill with companies that are here, that are invested. And I think it's a skills gap is exactly what it is. One, we don't have enough people in the workforce. We got to work on our labor force participation rate. We need more people coming back into the workforce that aren't in it now. One of the ways you address that is childcare. We got to have better access to childcare. Oklahoma has lost 1,000 daycares in the last 10 years. What do we do as businesses to get more childcare centers in our communities so that people can go back to work? That helps with participation. Then once we get people available to work, we got to get them the training that they need. And so we created the Workforce Commission last year. It's had its first couple of meetings, and we need to really nurture that this year. Its job is to help understand how we get our workforce infrastructure, so higher ed, career tech, and K-12 aligned with what are the skills that our employers need, and how to do a better job of communicating so that we get those people that are in the workforce the skills and the training and the certifications they need to be able to fill those open jobs.
Let me stay on child care for just a minute. There was so much noise 3 years ago when Congress was considering, Biden administration came back in on Build Back Better, child care. That was a big issue for the Congress. It didn't happen. So in terms of child care in Oklahoma, what are you specifically wanting to get done?
A couple of things. One, we want to make it easier for businesses to help invest in creating a child care on their facility, or invest in a facility that's close to them that all the community can use. And so we're trying to incentivize them with tax credits to help get that stood up. It benefits the community, it benefits the employers, and it certainly benefits mom and dad who work for them. We're working with Representative Suzanne Schreiber, who's been carrying some great legislation out of Tulsa for the last 2 years, to really try to dig into that issue. We think there's some good common sense solutions. If you do that, you start addressing, again, the workforce participation problem that we have in the state. Got to have more people off the sidelines and back into the workforce.
It's an interesting agenda, unlike ones I've seen for many years. It's interesting where the chamber's at. So congratulations on your agenda. Best of luck, and we'll see you again soon.
Appreciate the time.
Chad Warmington, the CEO and President of Oklahoma State Chamber. And thanks for watching Hot Seat. See us again at News 9 and NewsOn6.com. And to get more, some value added.